Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for tuning in to the show. Got my crew with me, Darnell and Tyler. I'm Trey, and we are coming your way with the 71st edition of the Don't Kill the Messengers podcast. First thing we're about to get into today is boxing. Looks like this bullshit Mayweather versus McGregor fight is actually going to happen. They have a day for it, for August the 26th. What do you guys think about it, man?
I mean, I'd be lying if I said I was not surprised. I am surprised I actually got it done. I thought it was just basically both of them posturing, and we were going to have another Pacquiao situation where it's a lot of talk, but nothing ever happens. But as of right now, it's supposed to be official. I mean, I'm not going to start acting like I'm really anxious to see this fight happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on the MMA side, I put this up to the likes of Randy Couture versus James Toney.
Yeah.
When one crosses into the other's world, I just don't have high hopes for it. And yeah, I know Conor's been talking big stuff and has been practicing all kind of boxing and stuff like this, but Floyd's been boxing since he was a small child, and he comes from a line of boxers, so and from what we know of Floyd is he really doesn't try to get into fights that he doesn't think he has the best chance of winning.
Yeah.
So, and the Vegas odds are showing it basically, from what Ty was talking about earlier. I hadn't even looked, but not shocked, but Mayweather is a heavy favorite. So,
yeah, it's almost it's a ridiculous spread too. Minus 1,000 or 1,100, depending where you look for Mayweather. That's huge.
Yeah, just one thing for what you said, Darnell, about how you thought this was going on. Probably what it will go on, like the Mayweather versus Pacquiao situation. Just one thing to add to that. One reason why I didn't think this fight would go on like that. I do understand these two are in two different worlds. One's boxing, other's MMA. But McGregor, we don't know if this guy was on a Pacquiao level during Pacquiao in his prime. You know, you brought up the whole fact about Mayweather. He's good with, picking the right time to fight fighters and whatnot. Pacquiao, when this first started off between Mayweather and Pacquiao, man, Pacquiao was just tearing people up. And with his fighting style, he started to fade further on into his career. So could definitely see what you meant by that one, man. But just looking at this one with Money Mayweather, man, this is with how I think he views this. This is just easy money for him, man. So I think he's going to be confident, go out in there and handle business. So
yeah, I mean he's a heavy favorite. Like we were saying with the Pacquiao stuff, yeah, while Pacquiao was at his peak, this fight pretty much they couldn't get it together. It was not happening. But somehow after Pacquiao has been knocked clean out in the fight, has shown a great decline, then all of a sudden we can make the fight happen.
Yeah.
So we get the fight 6 years too late when, Floyd's, he's probably lost a step himself just because of age, but he didn't hit the decline that Pacquiao has hit. So
with that fighting style of his, as long as his, reaction and defense, of course, doesn't slip that much, he can still bring it in the ring. So, you have anything to add, Ty?
I mean, I think at this point, I completely agree with Darnell. It's kind of tough to act like, it's for sure going to happen. Because anything can happen at the last minute. They can back out. Any number of things can happen. Someone can get an injury, and the fight gets called. The unexpected can still happen. But I guess just looking forward a little bit, one thing I'll be very curious to see if the fight happens is how McGregor reacts to, boxing blows. Basically, I guess where I'm coming at that from is the idea that he takes probably a more rounded beating in the UFC. You get leg kicks, you get, the jabs, the takedowns, all the works in the UFC. But just how much can he take from Mayweather? It's a different kind of a punch. I'm sure with the gloves, it affects you a little bit different. But being in the UFC, McGregor should know how, to take the full beating. So I'm just curious to see, what's actually going to happen with the fight itself, because, Mayweather isn't exactly known for knocking people out. A lot of his fights go the distance. So is McGregor going to get in there and actually try and win? Is he going to get in there and just take a beating for 12 rounds? Are they each going to let each other land a few and kind of keep it exciting a little bit? Like, it's just, a lot of it just doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
But, so I guess I'm curious to see how McGregor handles himself. If Mayweather is going to try and actually put it away to show, hey, I can beat one of the biggest, baddest guys in the UFC. As long as it's under his rules. But I think there's still a lot of intrigue there, but just still something will always seem off about it to me.
Yeah. Just one thing that I find interesting about this fight for McGregor will be his conditioning. Just looking at some of his fights in the UFC, sometimes he would just get tired pretty quick in the UFC in an octagon. So this boxing is going to be different. Doesn't have to worry about, brought up to the leg kicks and everything. Doesn't have to worry about somebody grappling, trying to take him down and all that stuff. It's going to be stand up. It's going to get a little bit more breaks, cause, they go 25 in, championship fight in the UFC. In boxing, they're going to go 36. It's probably going to be 36, minute fight, with 12 rounds. So just going to see how he's going to be conditioned in this fight as well. But, another thing that I brought up with Tyler Darnell, I think he was out of the, wasn't in here when I was talking to him about it, but I do believe, this actually goes on, no injuries or anything like that. I do believe that this will be the last time we'll see, McGregor fight. So.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah, I was telling.
His last payday.
Yeah, I was telling, Ty, like the reason I say that, man, once you get a check that big, say if he makes 50 million and then, once he get a taste of a piece of pie that high and then somebody says, oh, I'll give you 2 million for a fight. It's like, you can't just drop to that level, low of a pay cut. So, if he could somehow, if he does do good and can show something that, he could transition into boxing, running his mouth well and get hype up and then get into more paydays in the boxing, I could see that. But just how it's, looking if he just goes in there and gets destroyed, gets embarrassed and whatnot. Yeah, I think this is going to be the last time we're going to see, Conor McGregor, fighting in boxing and UFC. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's played this totally how he's wanted. So, he played the UFC to get himself those big fights. He's made a lot of money in MMA, and I think he knew, like, okay, if I want to get how much I want, before I really have to start fighting a lot of big name people and defending titles, I'm going to have to give some of his boxing money. He jumped in there. He's going to get that big payday, and I totally agree.
Yeah.
The paychecks won't be able to come close to what he's going to get on this fight, doing MMA matches. And he's going to take a L, but he's going to get a lot of money for this L. So, he's going to laugh his way to the bank and go back to Ireland or stay in Cali where he's been living now and live the life. And, Conor knows how to talk. So he can retire and, in his own mind, try to say he's the best MMA fighter of all time if he wants, and he'll be happy with that.
Exactly. Now, anything else to add for this, guys?
No.
All right. Up next, we're about to go right into some NCAA football. We're just about to get into Stoops with his retirement. Were you guys surprised by this at all?
Oh
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, it was basically. I think it blindsided the nation. Basically, Stoops is one of those mainstays for college football. You know, synonymous with one school being the Sooners, and you just, yeah, it blindsided me, and you know, it was total unexpected news for me. It was a slow news day for sports when it happened, and you know, just kind of spread like wildfire. And it's just crazy to he still was putting a good product on the field, still recruiting pretty well. To just call it a day. I mean, he's leaving how he wants to leave, so always props to anybody that does that. But oh yeah, it was total shock.
Yeah, the key thing for me was, the guy's only 56. That's still, pretty young for some of these coaches. So I definitely believe, he had a lot left to offer for Oklahoma. But yeah, I was definitely shocked by that.
Yeah, and not just that. I mean, 2 years ago they were in the playoff. Last year, they got left out last year, did they not? Yeah. Like I for some reason just blanking on who the four were last year, but yeah, they didn't make it. But I mean, it's not like he's had, a few bad years to lead up to this moment. It's not like, the writing was on the wall. So, I mean, even with Baker Mayfield having his, off-season incident, I still think Oklahoma was still poised to be, toward the top of the Big 12, make another run at the playoff. So him retiring was very, very odd. I wonder if there's something else that's going to come out at a later time that kind of shadows why he retired when he did. Just because one, nobody really saw it coming, and two, we're only a couple months before the season. So it just seemed very, very odd time. So I'm curious to see if something comes out a little bit later that kind of says, okay, maybe this is why he retired. Maybe try and take some focus off the team, more on him. Try and protect the program a little bit.
Now, do you guys have anybody else in mind that you think would be a good fit for taking that head coach and position at Oklahoma?
I think it'll stay in-house. Wouldn't be surprised if they promote a coordinator, or if they had an assistant head coach at the time. I'm not too brushed up on the coaching staff for Oklahoma, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this one stays in-house. Like I said, we're a few months away from the start of the season. I don't know if they want to bring in some guy who's going to bring in a whole new system and try and get the guys to learn in 2.5 months.
Well, right now they promoted Lincoln Riley. Who was one of the assistant coaches.
Yeah, makes total sense.
Yeah, so
makes total sense.
I mean, this is at least going to be the stopgap for this season, because yes, it's too late to try to change up too much. Okay.
Is it head coach? Like, is he hired as head coach, or is he going to get an interim tag on that?
No, he is. I mean, from what I've seen, he's listed as head coach right now.
Okay, which just seems interesting, considering Oklahoma, big time program. I would be a little shocked if they stick with this guy long term. And not try to go for some big name to keep the fan base futures happy, but not surprised that they're going in-house, at least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I mean, just like what you were saying, it was such a surprise when it happened, and we're in the summer months, so you're dealing with the players right now, trying to get ready for the upcoming season. So just to try to keep some sort of continuity and normalcy for the current football team, this probably was the best choice, was to just keep your coaching staff as intact as you can, and see what you can do from there.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see when a lot of. Okay.
Oh, sorry. And by the way, I mean, Lincoln Riley is he's young. He's only 33. So,
okay.
I mean, if he was to be able to show something from this season, it would be pretty big. And I mean, offensive minded guy. So, I mean, it's going to be a nice step up for him. But if he can show something, he can do big things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll be real interested to see when a lot of the projections come out, conference projections, playoff projections, to see where Oklahoma falls in a lot of this, because having a coaching change can affect the program in a lot of ways, not necessarily, for worse, sometimes for better, but that's not always the case. So I think it'll be interesting to see how big of a play they make that, because Stoops had such a, in terms of the Big 12, he basically had a Big 12 dynasty going for a while. Just that hurts to lose. And at the time you lose him, I wonder how much the media is going to play that
up. All right, now, guys, is there anything else you have to add for NCAA football before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll just throw out there. I hope that he didn't retire because there's something going on with the program. I hope it's just him figuring out it was time to be done rather than, something actually being wrong. So, I just hope everything's cool with the program.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, man. Yeah. There's some crazy scandals going on, so.
Yeah, and I think at this point, that's kind of the last thing we want is a scandal-ridden year, especially coming on the heels of Baylor, Penn State. I think it would be just great for college football to have a fun, clean year.
Yeah.
As well as clean as we can get. Stuff's going to happen.
All right, guys. Now we're about to go right into some NBA basketball. Start this off, just, with the whole Celtics, there's been rumors going on about them possibly wanting to trade IT. Just what are your thoughts on that whole situation going on in Boston?
Not totally surprised by this. There's been the rumblings for, a lot of the season just because IT is, no getting around it. He's a little guy. And, being a team's primary option, being of that stature and being a bit of a liability on the defensive end, partially due to his height, some partial due to effort. Doesn't seem to try his hardest on the defensive end. That was going to bring questions, especially once they actually match up with the team like they ran into Cleveland. And it was clear that they, even though they had that best regular season record, when it came to real brass tacks and let's show who's the best in a matching up against each other, they weren't close to being ready for Cleveland. So it's not a shock. Boston knows they still have a way to go to get to Cleveland level to be able to get over that next hump and get to the finals. So one of their best options might be offering up a lightning rod as far as scoring goes, like IT, to see if they can get other pieces that would get them to be better matchups. And, they have the number one pick, so they might draft his replacement and send him on his way.
Yeah, definitely agree with the major concern on Isaiah Thomas being, his size. I kind of look at, the situation with them in Cleveland. Not too many people can guard Kyrie Irving to begin with. So I think just going to look at it solely based on the Cleveland series, very unfair. And I'm not saying that you just did that. Just for people who kind of look at that moment and say, well, they can't get past Cleveland. And, I mean, that's fine, but, just not many people are playing great defense on Kyrie Irving. He had a pretty good playoffs. I have a few, I guess, issues with a few things he decided to do during the finals, but I think that's another discussion we can have. But yeah, just I'm not surprised that it comes along, because I was telling Trey before the show, it seems like when one team gets the better of you, you feel like you need to play catch up, and the media brings along the narrative that, oh, they beat you, so what they're doing is the only thing that's working. And I'll bring this up again. Like, for example, with Cleveland won the NBA championship 2 years ago. So what did they say? They said, oh, Golden State needs to find rim protection. Well, they went out, got Durant, not rim protection, and they won with unselfish basketball. Now we're going to look at Cleveland and say, all right, maybe they need guys that distribute the ball better, that pass it around better, get better ball movement, better space. It just seems like whatever wins tends to be the narrative that we feel every team needs to follow. So, I'm not surprised that we're talking about trading Isaiah Thomas, but I don't think they should, personally. I think that he's kind of the centerpiece of that team. Yeah, he lacks defensively. Yeah, he's small. But when you're looking at, top 10 point guards, I mean, he's easily in that discussion. So I think giving him up, you'd be giving up a ton on the offensive side of the floor, especially for that team, because they don't have a ton of great offensive options. Now, granted, you could, trade him, get another offensive threat, but why not possibly keep him, add somebody else by, I don't know, possibly doing something with that first pick, doing a draft and trade. There's just a lot of options that can happen there. But personally, I probably would not look to move Isaiah Thomas. Maybe give him some incentives for playing a little bit better on the defensive end, which is always a possibility. So I would lean toward keeping Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that, Darnell, because you brought up some good points about, with his size and everything like that, but I do believe this Boston team did catch a lot of people off guard this year. I don't think a lot of people expected the performance from Isaiah Thomas, especially offensively, what he was bringing to this table, despite his size. And just overall, the performance of this team, I don't think a lot of people had them being number one in the East. So, yeah, if it was up to you, man, like, what would you do? Would you trade him or keep him or what?
I mean, I would be open on either side. So like I said, I'm not putting the Cavs loss solely on him. It's just they didn't have the pieces all around. They weren't built to be able to deal with Cleveland as a whole, especially not being super strong overall on the defensive end. They have a couple players that are better on the defensive end, but they don't have enough people that can go both ways. And to give Isaiah Thomas credit, probably at certain points in that series and against the Wizards even, they were relying too heavily on him to make baskets. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you could get like actual pieces that you can put together to keep his scoring edge, but, multiple people that can score the basketball plus improve your defense. Yeah, if a deal like that opens up for me, like if I could get Paul George or something for him, I would think about that, because that's somebody that can still score, but that's one of the few people in the league that can bother LeBron and can guard multiple positions. So it would have to be a good deal, something worth my while, but I wouldn't say I'm opposed to trading him, and I'm not saying Boston needs to absolutely get rid of him. If they go the way things are projected as far as the draft goes, I do think they probably have to trade him, because that gives them backlog in the backcourt, and they need some as well. So the Celtics are just kind of in a bind for where they are and where they're slotted. I mean, unless they want to go, if they want to keep IT and go outside of projections and like make Josh Jackson the number 1 pick, because that's a big swing man that has shown he can play some D. That would be a help for them, give them a possible future actual defensive stopper, and then see what they can do in free agency. That would be a way to keep him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Anything else to add for this Boston Celtics situation on possibly trading IT?
No.
All right, about to get right into it, man. This NBA Finals. Before we start to break everything down, just what were you guys' thoughts on the whole finals?
Yeah, I think we need to give the credit where it's due. Darnell called it in 5.
Yeah.
For Golden State, so give it to you there. At the end of the day, I think we got what we sort of expected. We saw Golden State plow through the playoffs. Brandon Cleveland did the same, had the one hiccup, but no one really took that too serious. But once we got to the finals, we just saw that Kevin Durant was that big of a difference. He played great basketball, won MVP and deserved it. Curry had his best finals in his career. Klay Thompson started to show up, and just when you get that many just pure scores, it's hard to keep up. A team that's that great in transition, plays really good defense, hustles, has the swagger, really. That's tough to beat. And really, once they went down 3-0, you really saw defeat come over Cleveland. Tyronn Lue didn't really seem to be fighting for his team at media press conferences. He seemed like he was starting to concede the series. LeBron was looking tired. Actually, when the series was all over, threw some of his teammates to the bus with some comments, and just it kind of imploded a little bit on Cleveland. I don't think they expected to get ran like they did. But I think Darnell and I both, I guess it's where let's pick Golden State here. We expected Golden State to do what they did. I just don't think we expected 2 huge blowouts to start the series. I think we expected games more like game 5 and game 3, where they were close, coming more down to the last few possessions. I would have liked to have seen more of that, but I guess you get what you get. And, I think at the end of the day, it just boils down to Kevin Durant was that big of a difference. He was a huge piece for that team. And I think they'll make another run at it again next year.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much along the same lines there. This was just a culmination of what people were calling out at the beginning of the season during the summer, I should say, when we found out KD was going Golden State. It was pretty much pencil in that championship, and this team came together, pretty quickly. I must say, and he proved to be that perfect fit for the style of basketball they play. He brought a bit more, like surprisingly to say, more of a defensive edge to Golden State, which they were already a very good defensive team. Yeah. Made it even more so. So as far as his finals go, yeah, I'm not surprised with how the outcome went. I wish it was a little bit more entertaining, a little closer. But it was just one of those finals where you're still in amazement just seeing how good, one team and one player, for the opposite team are. So I mean, Golden State, like it's just crazy to look at Like pretty much they played pretty much amazing, destroyed Cleveland in game 1. They had a bunch of turnovers, still won by double digits in game 2. They took what we thought was Cleveland's best punch in game 3, won. Game 4, the game that they actually lost, like it was basically an all-time game for any team in the NBA Finals. That's what it took to beat them. It took an NBA record amount of threes made in a game, NBA record in threes and a half, highest point total in a half, and the best 2 players on the team scoring 40 each. So, I mean, that was just more of a testament where it's like, they basically, somebody had to play the perfect game against them to win. And I mean, Cleveland housed them. But I can't even say they housed them because there was still, like, you still had to watch that game to the fourth quarter because of how good Golden State is. Like, in the fourth quarter, I think they got within 11 and you were still like, oh boy, they still might come back and win this game. So it's like, it's crazy for a team to be that good where it's like they've been getting just bombed on this whole game and they still can make it, they still can have you in the back of your mind going, wow, they still might come back and win this game. And then, of course, the closeout game, KD put a stamp on getting the finals MVP. He made pretty much every big shot you could ask him to make in the fourth quarter. He pretty much went blow for blow. Cleveland came within 3 early in the quarter, but then it was KD basically said, no, this is not happening. Let's put any thoughts about us blowing another 3-1 lead away. And well, congrats to him. He was big in a big moment. He can call himself a champ now.
Yeah, and real quick, you talked about game 3 where it looked like that was the best punch that the Cavs were going to give. For all intents and purposes, they should have won that game.
Yeah.
They had it at the end. It's just Irving loves to have the ball in his hands and threw up a 3-pointer that was totally uncalled for. And that was all she wrote. Like, I couldn't believe he took that shot with, in reality, the series on the line. No teams come back from 3-0. I don't think that needs to be said, but 2-1, and I'm not even going to say then, oh, well, then it would have been 2-2 because then who knows what would have happened in that fourth game. But if that series was 2-1, I think we're still watching basketball right now. Like, I think there's still another game to be played if they win that third game. Now, I'm not saying it still doesn't go 3-1. Golden State could have won game 4, but I think Cleveland would have answered better in Oakland for game 5, if they did not win game 4. So I just felt like that game 3 was just so critical, and Kyrie Irving tried to put matters into his own hands with a shot they didn't even need. And I don't know, like I was telling Tran, I feel like Kyrie Irving takes advantage of LeBron's unselfish play at times. Some nights where you see Kyrie go off for 40, 45 points, that's when LeBron gets 9, 10 assists. And I just felt like LeBron being an unselfish player, being a distributor on the floor a lot of times, I think that was a moment LeBron needed to have the ball in his hands, and Kyrie thought it was his moment. And that bothered me a little bit. I think everybody knew the series was over at that point. I'm not saying based off that shot, just based off the result. And that game 3 just never sat well with me. Just how it ended. Cleveland played well. Golden State didn't play terrible, but I don't think they played phenomenal. They just played all right and, squeaked the win out. But I still felt game 3 was one Cleveland should have had.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like from where you're talking about with that shot, it seemed like Kyrie was trying to get that game 7 moment to relive itself for him. Yeah. But But it's just like it wasn't the time for that, and that they had plenty of time to put things away. But I guess he just wanted to try to put a dagger in right there, and yeah, it was a game changer for. Like I said, it looked like it was the best shot at the time that they had. They came back and played a monster game the next game, but you can look back and say, I mean, hey, you'd be riding pretty confident after that game, and then especially if they had, I mean, not even that exact same game, but a game where they still were playing up and were playing confident like they were in Game 4. Yeah, we could have a different series. I mean, KD deserved the MVP that he got, but I mean, LeBron was on a tear. He was on a mission.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, if the rest of the team got some confidence up and, and maybe the bench picks it up off of that confidence of getting the win like that, who knows what could have happened in the series.
Yeah. And, and I guess if we're going to go ahead and talk about the what could have been, I mean, how many players can you point to on Cleveland and just say that they were so disappointed?
Yeah, that's
a lot.
That's what I was about to ask you guys about that, because you guys were talking about Kyrie, kind of dealing with him maybe being a little selfish, but I was just about to ask, just with how disappointed some of his teammates were playing, do you think he just felt as if he had to step up a little bit more than usual? Because some of them, it was very disappointing to watch the other cast for that team just do nothing pretty much.
Yeah, and I think that's a very fair assessment from you, Trey. Like, Kyrie forced the issue there, and there's no doubt about it. When Kyle Korver does nothing through 3 games, J.R. Smith does nothing for 2 games, Tristan Thompson didn't really do much, Richard Jefferson's non-existent. Iman Shumpert could have been better off just sitting on the bench. And right there, it's 5 guys.
Yeah.
2 that are starters for sure. And Kevin Love disappeared late in the series. I mean, yes, Kyrie probably felt like nobody else is doing it other than me and LeBron. And I feel like I have a window here to make a play. Do I blame him for it? Not necessarily, but I think he needed to recognize the moment a little bit better than he did. Just the basketball IQ there wasn't too strong. It was, still early in the shot clock, 25 seconds left, and he just threw up the 3. Now, granted, I'm riding pretty hard on Kyrie there for one bad moment.
Yeah.
He did play well, and I'll give him that. He had a pretty good finals. He was getting to the rim, finishing some ridiculous plays in the paint that no other point guard in the league's finishing. I think he's really showing his true ability when he's getting to the rim.
Yeah.
And I think that's when he's at his best. But, the finger can be pointed in so many areas for Cleveland. I was so disappointed in Kyle Korver, J.R. Smith, although J.R. Smith had one good game. Tristan Thompson should have been a lot better than he was. And in reality, he wasn't even really rebounding the ball. So, like, if he's not even rebounding the ball, how little hustle is he actually giving? Like, the dude's biggest and on the second biggest guy on the floor, and he's not pulling down boards. Like,
it's that Kardashian curse.
Yeah. It's like, what are you doing out there? So I mean, Cleveland just, I mentioned it, at the start of the series. Golden State's depth is better than a lot of people think it is. When you know the name Patrick McCaw, your team's pretty deep. Patrick McCaw just sounds like a guy who can't get out of the D League, and he's kind of a mainstay off this bench for Golden State. It's unbelievable how many guys they had involved. That just played a big factor. And if you're in the NBA Finals and you don't show up, hey man, like, that's on you.
Yeah, that was a big issue for Cleveland with just how many of their guys just did not show up for this finals. Not to rehash everything, but yeah, I mean, K-Love was at best spotty. He had stretches where he would get a lot of offensive rebounds, but I mean, of course, I've never been too high on his defense, but it seemed like every time he switched on a pick and got stuck on Steph Curry, he got made to look dumb. And of course, he had his stretches where he couldn't score a point. What was it, Game 5, where he was scoreless through the first half? The do or die game, and you're supposed to be a third best player, and you don't have a point the whole first half.
Yeah.
And then Tristan Thompson outside of Game 5 was pretty much in Game 4. I mean, everybody was good in Game 4, so I guess I just don't think about it. But yeah, pretty much the rest of that series, like outside of Game 5 as well, where he went 5-5 or 6-6, whatever, to start. Yeah, he wasn't there. J.R. Smith didn't do anything until Game 4. Darren Williams might as well retire.
Yeah, he's another one.
Yeah, and
I was expecting big from him to, help that bench, because once LeBron got off that floor, it was looking bad.
They were terrible.
They were terrible. They couldn't take him. Like, what was it in Game 5? He sat for like a total of 1.7 seconds a game time or something stupid like that. Like if you can't take a guy off the court or your team falls apart, I mean, that just shows us the pieces were not there for this year. And I mean, like I mentioned it last week when we talked. LeBron knew he didn't have the pieces. They tried to get them for him. They went and got D. Will. They went and got Bogut. Bogut got hurt in 59 seconds of play, and Darren Williams fell off a cliff. Kyle Korver wasn't Kyle Korver. He was missing open shots. I mean, a lot of people got shocked by the sight of him dunking a basketball, but that's not what they had him on the team for.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be helping out hitting them 3-point shots, and that wasn't happening. So, yeah, I mean, not a lot you can do where you only have two people producing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's why Kyrie was forcing the issue some. I think sometimes he falls in love with his own game, and he's a part of this new era of scoring point guards. So I mean, it's first nature to him. But yeah, sometimes he can tend to take shots at bad times, but you can't really put a ton on him because he was one of the only dependable scorers. Well, he's the only other dependable scorer on this team outside of LeBron.
Yeah, just you brought it up, Darnell. But I got to give props from LeBron for knowing, he needed more pieces, because what came to my mind when you said that was kind of like when him and Barkley were going at it earlier the year. I kind of felt that he was whiny about it too. Like when you come off and you're the reigning champ, I think you should have a certain like swagger about you, like we got this. But this guy was practicing with these guys who was playing with him. He knew what he needed to have in order to win, and it showed come finals. So a lot of players didn't step up like he wanted them to. So the guy called it during the season. Hey, I need better players around me, and showed up in the finals. All right, guys. Now, how does having a ring affect KD's legacy? For this, this is a sport. Everybody talks about a ring, and people were disappointed that he left OKC to go to Golden State. Congratulations to him, but I would have felt different if he would have won in OKC compared to Golden State, just because Golden State, many people believe they should have won a championship the year before last year, and but they didn't, and he goes right there to a team that was right there to win a championship, joins forces with them and wins it. So, for the argument, everybody talks about, hey, you got to have a ring. He has that ring, so he can't really say nothing else to him. But he had a remarkable performance this finals.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ted.
Yeah, completely agree. if the end goal is the ring, like, let's just let every guy win a ring, and then it's like, all right, now the ring's no longer a fair statement. But, I get it. I think it helps that he played as well as he did. So it's not like, oh, he got carried to a ring. He actually carried Golden State.
Yeah.
Especially in the finals. Regular season, I feel like it was more of a joint effort. But, he had a great year. I'm happy for him that he won a ring. I mean, he's two-time MVP, two-time scoring champ. So he's a good player. He would have eventually got one. It's going to be tainted by a lot of people, because of the way he did it, which I understand it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah.
A lot of people were, for lack of a better term, disgusted with what he did. So I understand why people won't be too happy with it, but I'm happy that with a player as good as KD, we can now have the ring situation out of the way, and we can just watch him play basketball and be the player he is. As long as he stays with Golden State this next year, and I don't see why he wouldn't, I wouldn't be surprised if they go back next year. They look that good, that dominant. So yeah, how does it affect his legacy? Depends who you ask, really. You're going to have the people that love him and love the decision, and you're going to have people that hate the decision and hate him for it. So, all depends on who you ask, but I think in the big scope of it all, it only benefited him to get the ring now, get it out of the way, and play well doing
it. Yeah, I mean, you guys both covered it. It's just the culture that the fans and the media have created. It's basically after Jordan, has basically been, you aren't great unless we can't call you great unless you have at least a championship. So, I mean, a lot of people that are mad at how Kevin Durant won his title, like, depending on your own age, like, go back and blame yourself for your thoughts that you had about Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing. Going on after that, how you felt about Kevin Garnett, being the highest paid player in the league, but never winning the ring until he went to Boston. How you felt about LeBron, until he went to Miami. So, and then to turn around on that, I know people are mad that Durant went to an established team he went to a team that was already great in a lot of people's minds and took him to a title. I guess you can have your feelings about it, especially since Golden State was a team that put him out, but people have stopped trying to like make his worse than what other people have done. Yeah, LeBron didn't go to the team that beat him, but he still, and yes, the Heat weren't great the season before, but I mean, if you want to tell me that if the Heat didn't have D Wade and Bosh the year before, that they wouldn't have been a pretty damn good playoff team in the East, go jump off a cliff somewhere. And basically the same with Boston. If Ray Allen wasn't already with Boston with Pierce, if you don't think that, and Rondo, if you don't think that would have been a good team, before Garnett went there, I got the same sentiment for it. But it's just, let's stop trying to parse it and make what he did worse than what players before him did. He knew that burn was going to start coming to him. We all saw the kind of hell that LeBron had to go through until he won a title. And like I said, KG before him. So, he saw the writing on the wall. So they lost their 3-1 lead to Golden State that year. He knew he was going to need more pieces. And I mean, let's face it as well, people are probably not signing up and getting in line to go to Oklahoma City. I'm sorry. It's just a fact. And if you don't believe me, let's just see how free agency goes this year. Because Russell Westbrook is pretty damn good. Let's see how many people just are waiting in line to go there. I bet you it's not going to be many. But you got Golden State out there in Cali. They have a good roster. And it's a roster built to the draft, so they had the cap space, so they put him in there. And to Ty's point, it's not like he went there and like sat in the corner while they won a title with him. He was the best player on the team and possibly the best player on the court for that series. Don't take this as me trying to say he's past LeBron, but for this in a vacuum for this series, he was probably the dominant player on the court. Part of that is because he had so many pieces around to open up the game for him. But I mean, he was a monster, and nobody can deny that. And so I'm not gonna discount him getting a ring. He was Finals MVP for this series, and history shows the finals that he lost. I want to keep this in people's mind. He played great in that final. So this is not a guy that shied away from big moments. He just didn't have enough pieces around him to get over the hump until now. So, he can shut up the naysayers now that will always say, well, yeah, he was good, but he has that ring. So there's no but. He cemented himself as a top 10 all-time player in my opinion.
Okay, they already top 10 player?
Yeah. He's right. 7 feet and can do all of that. I don't know if I can name 9 other players through history that were better than him. No, I can't.
Ooh.
I will say this. I think when it's all said and done, he'll be there. He has plenty left in the tank as long as he just doesn't fall off the face of the earth and can still maybe pick up another ring or two. But I think he'll definitely end there. I don't know that I'm ready to put him there just yet, but I do think he's well on his way.
That's interesting, man. Top 10. We had to have a discussion on that, man. That's a good one. All right, we're about to go to LeBron now. He is 3-5 in the finals so far in his career. How does this affect his legacy? Because I think you're about to get into it now, Ty. You said you had a rant.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can I just get my little piece in before you go next time?
That's fine. That's fine.
Everybody's talking about the Jordan stuff, man.
That's fine.
How you gonna be 3-5 going up against Jordan? You know, but hey, go ahead, guys, let it rip.
Well, no, I'm about to just say my little piece and get out of the way because Ty feels strong on this one, so I'm not gonna be the angry old man in this one. So for once, so. I don't think it hurts his legs. I'm just going to say that.
Okay.
LeBron has proven his greatness, in my opinion. Let that man be great. I just want to say, as far as that goes, his early losses because he was. I mean, I felt his pain because of who my favorite player was for the generation before with J. Kidd. Seeing somebody drag a terrible squad through a weaker East and get swept in the finals, I understood seeing that with the Cleveland teams that LeBron did it with. The only finals I really give him a ton of grief in for losing was that first Miami series against Dallas.
Yep.
Because he honestly did not show up in the fourth quarter of pretty much every game there. And so I did put a lot of heat on him for that one. But every other finals he's been in, nobody can say LeBron's played terrible. He was just matched up against other teams that were pretty much great, and he was still not dragging terrible teams. But D Wade, he hit a spot where he had a big injury history, so he couldn't be 100% in the finals, and due to his style of play, his body seemed to had started breaking down, and his loss against Golden State, he had no Kyrie after game 1, and Kevin Love he was non-existent in this one too, but he was actually not on the court. So I have to give him his props for always. I mean, he's been in 7 straight finals, so like give the man his due. And just like we gotta live with that. This guy has been amazing in his play, and he's gotten rings. So this goes back to, it's a Jordan comparison. Let's just stop it. Let the man be great in his own right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ty.
Get him, Ty.
Yeah. And I guess I'll just touch real fast on what you said, Darnell. Like, I'm right there with you. I said a lot of that a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I completely agree. But here will be my hottest take, maybe ever. I haven't heard anybody say this. This is something I said to somebody a few days ago, and it received a pretty good response. So I'm going to go with it. LeBron James is receiving the most unfair treatment in sports history. This is solely based on the fact that we compare him to Michael Jordan and continue to find reasons to make him fall short. Where you want to begin, is fine by me, but, we can talk about the rings, the numbers, the super team thing, like that's fine. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about, but continuing to say that LeBron James isn't passing Michael Jordan is not only unfair to LeBron, it is unfair to us as the fans. I have never heard the media and fans alike call somebody great and then continue to bring up reasons why he cannot be great. We hold him down because of his NBA Finals record. We hold him down because he left for Miami and then came back to Cleveland and brought along Kevin Love. We continue to just find reasons that Michael Jordan did so pure. We make it seem like Michael Jordan was so pure in the way he did it. He brought in his own pieces. Rodman came over. That's just one name. We are watching a top 5, and that's a very safe estimate, a top 5 all-time player.
You could say top 2.
I'm only making it very safe estimate.
You think
I would agree.
Top 2, Darnell?
You don't?
No.
Okay.
If someone says top 5, I'm cool with that. But
I would have LeBron top 2 for me.
All right, that's fine.
He is doing things and has done things that have not been done before. Most notably, he just averaged a triple-double in the NBA Finals with no supporting cast, basically, other than Kyrie Irving. We are too concerned about wins and losses right now. Like, for one, LeBron has been to what is it, 7 straight NBA Finals, or is it 8? Either way, Michael Jordan was 6-0 in the finals. He only made it to 6. And we need to realize what Golden State did this year by signing Kevin Durant was to beat LeBron.
Yeah.
I saw somebody tweet the other day, one of the lasting legacies that LeBron is going to leave is this Golden State team. It was all because of LeBron James that team happened and that team won the title. It's because they needed to get past LeBron that bad. I'm just so confused why we can't just recognize who LeBron James is. He's the player we have been given right now. And honestly, it's a gift that we've been given LeBron James to watch in the NBA. For those of us who have not, Trey and I are a little too young to remember Michael. We may remember him a little bit on the Wizards, but that doesn't count. You know, LeBron James may be the one we get in the NBA in our lifetime. And I mean, who's next in line? Durant looks like he's the closest thing, but I still think he has a little bit to prove to get to where LeBron's at now. You know, if it's not Durant, I mean, tell me who it's going to be, because I can write off LeBron and just watch this next player rise up. I mean, I don't know that there's somebody in line like LeBron James was. LeBron James is basically prophesized by everybody. We all knew what he was going to be great while he was in high school. We've never seen a player get treated like him coming into the NBA. And I don't know that we will for a very long time at least. So, like, we're just robbing ourselves as fans of the NBA by continuing to put down LeBron James. Like, we don't know who's going to be next. We don't know when they will be next. So, like, if we continue to do the Michael Jordan comparison, we're just simply robbing ourselves of one of the greatest athletes ever. And if you continue to just say, oh, well, Michael Jordan 6-0, you know, Michael Jordan, he was perfect in the NBA Finals. You know, Michael Jordan always rose to the occasion. Michael Jordan always hit the shot. It's like, really? Michael Jordan's retired. He's been retired. Why can't we allow LeBron James to be the great player for this era of basketball? Why can't we allow him to be great? Why do we always have to put the pressure of MJ on him? Now, granted, LeBron has said he feels like he's chasing the ghost of Michael Jordan. But how much of that is the fans and the media putting that on him? Like, look at some other sports. I'll probably mention hockey, because I think hockey is one where we have one of the closer comparisons. The great one, Wayne Gretzky. He had lost Stanley Cup finals, and that's fine. But right now, the best player in the league is probably Sidney Crosby, and I don't hear anybody comparing Sidney Crosby to Wayne Gretzky or saying he's not Wayne Gretzky. I don't see it in, you know, baseball. I don't see anybody going, well, he's not Babe Ruth, or he's not, you know, Derek Jeter, Ted Williams, Willie Mays. You know, the only other sport where we see it is football, and it's Tom Brady to Joe Montana. That's the only other sport we even see the argument. But even at that point, it's still not on the same level as we see LeBron with MJ. It's a whole nother level. It's a whole nother seriousness that gets brought around it. And like, people get defensive over it. And that would just be my leading message to this rant here. Like, we are robbing ourselves of what LeBron is giving us. People will not realize what LeBron gave us until he retires. And that's sad. That's very sad. You know, he's made 7 straight finals. I bet there's not another player in my lifetime that makes 7 straight finals unless it's this Golden State team. If this Golden State team doesn't do it, no one's going to do it. No single player will do that for probably my lifetime. And if I were to sit around all day and just say, yeah, well, you know, he does have a losing finals record, I feel like all I'm doing is pushing down LeBron James for incredible individual performance, individual accomplishment, a Hall of Fame career. I just don't want to miss out on that. And I'm very sorry for everyone who refuses to allow LeBron James to be great, because he is. And, you know, like Darnell and I believe he's a top 2 player, but the way we talk about him is like he will never be able to get even on the same pedestal as Michael Jordan. And I think that's very unfair. I think we should be able to put a lot of players on the same pedestal as Michael Jordan for different reasons. You know, whether, you know, just being a pioneer in the game, or, you know, some incredible individual accomplishments like 6-0. That's great individual accomplishment in the NBA Finals. LeBron James making it to 7 in a row. That's an incredible accomplishment. You know, all the MVPs he's won. That's an incredible accomplishment. Why do we continue to just push LeBron James down when all he's doing is pulling himself up? He is, you know, he's fought for the accolades he's received. He fought super hard in this NBA Finals, averaged a triple-double, and we write it off because his finals record is 3-5. I'm sorry, but you have a skewed opinion if you're going to continue to push down his individual effort, his individual accomplishment, his team accomplishments too. I mean, guys won 3 finals. There's a lot of good players that have not won 3 finals. I'm just so confused why media and fans call LeBron James great, yet don't allow him to be. And it won't make sense. It never will.
As much as I agree with pretty much everything you said, I'll give you a lot of the why. What's on LeBron's back?
Are you talking about the number 23?
No, well, that too. That's another good point.
I mean, yeah,
written on his back. Chosen.
Oh yeah, I was sorry, you're talking about the King Chosen One deal.
Yeah. And you just brought the next one. What was his nickname like? Coming in.
Yeah, King James.
Yeah, and you brought up.
Yeah.
This is a guy that everybody's been staring at since high school.
It's true.
Yeah, and all these are well warranted because he's proven at every stage. Every time a bar has been set for him, he's gone over it. Mm-hmm. But I think because he got put into the limelight so early. I mean, people knew who LeBron was by the time he was 14 or 15 years old.
Yeah.
When you get thrust in that early, your haters start growing very early too.
No, it's true.
So a lot of that grows from that. And, when you got this kid that comes in and pretty much from the gate, and probably after his first year in the league, he was a top 5 current player for what's in the league. Mm-hmm. So, that's a big thing there. And, and there's some people that hold so tightly to the greats that they see and the things of their era where it's hard for them to let go that somebody may be coming close to or possibly surpassing. I mean, as far as to put a cherry on top of what you're saying, as far as LeBron goes, I'm a quote some Jay-Z. If I'm not better than Big, I'm the closest one. Yeah. I feel like LeBron has hit that point. If I'm not better than Jordan, I'm the closest one.
Yeah.
So just let him be.
Yeah, I agree with that, definitely. And that makes total sense. When you bring somebody in at the top, it's hard to go up. I do agree with that. And then, to your second point, being the closest thing, like I said, unless it's Durant right now, who will we turn to when LeBron's done? Like in my mind, I mean, you're looking at Curry, Durant, Kawhi, but none of them have the same stuff to offer that LeBron does. Yeah. And I mean, Curry's exciting to watch because he shoots the ball so well. Durant kind of has that all around game going for him. But I don't know. I just don't think we'll see a hype. We'll see a hype that gets delivered on for a long while. And like I said, I think the fear for me is just if we miss it now, it's kind of like Kaylee's comment. If you don't see it, you'll probably never see it again. And with nobody kind of next in line, for like I said, for those who saw MJ, you got a pretty quick turnaround to get to LeBron. Like it was only 12 years or so?
Yeah.
Roughly. Like, that's a pretty quick turnaround to get somebody else who's deemed to be great. It'll just be curious to see what's next after LeBron, because who hated him, unless they're just bitter people who love to hate. I'm sorry for the NBA. You think you're going to enjoy when you're done.
All right, guys. Anything left on LeBron's legacy?
Yeah, I'm with Fernell. It's not tainted here.
All right.
Well, and kind of like I said with that, with one tweet I read, this Golden State team's a product of LeBron beating them, of them wanting to get over the LeBron hurdle so bad. even though they beat him once, like, a lot of people say do it once, it's a fluke, do it twice, and it's not. You know, getting Kevin Durant's what they felt like they needed to do, and people will remember that.
All right, now, still gonna keep it on LeBron. Just what were you guys' thoughts on him when he made a whole super team comment, saying that he never really played for a super team?
Now, after giving him all that praise.
Yeah. No, it's true.
This was a dumbass statement.
It was. I mean, when you get a little mini hype parade saying not one, not two, not three, I mean, come on. You don't do that with a group of average Joes.
Yeah,
let's be real.
Yeah, like I found that one almost as disrespectful to Chris Bosh and D Wade. It was like, you do know when you join the Heat, everybody was saying you have 3 of the best 10 players in the league. On one
saying
team.
They were going to beat that Jordan that Bulls record.
It became an expectation.
Yeah.
And I mean, it took some time for them to gel, and you know they, like I said, it was short lived because I don't think anybody expected D Wade's body to just start giving out on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just an asinine statement. Like, how could you say you didn't play for a super team when, like, you basically hand built this one? And I mean, truth be told, like, as far as last year, it looked like Cleveland was going to turn out to be a super team. If Durant doesn't go to Golden State, good chance that we were still going to get this matchup, but most people be favoring Cleveland.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's not go crazy, LeBron. Like I said, we just gave you 10 minutes of props here for how great you are, but that was some dumb stuff you said there.
Could completely agree. I think it's safe to say that, you know, those Laker teams in the 80s were a form of a super team. You know, Worthy, Kareem, Magic. I mean, same with the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're going to give it where it is. And then, you know, Celtics again getting Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett to join Paul Pierce. I mean, it's not like the only time I'll call someone stupid for calling themselves a super team was the Knicks. I mean,
you don't even.
We all knew that was not a super team. Like, let's be real. We knew that one of the guys, Joakim Noah, was coming off an awful year. Derrick Rose is made of glass. But, like, other than that, everybody knows super team when they see one. Like, LeBron's not fooling anybody here. And for him to come out and say that, it was kind of like a head shaking moment where you're just kind of like, all right, LeBron, don't be so butthurt that you just lost the finals again. Like, you're coming off an incredible individual performance. Give them credit where credit's due, and just don't make yourself look bad. Like, that's a moment where you just get in front of the media, say what you need to say, go home, and not make yourself look stupid. And you just filled out the last part.
All right, guys. Now, what are your thoughts on Vegas favoring the Warriors over that 95 Bulls team?
It's interesting. You know, I said I'm done comparing teams. I'm done comparing players.
I think next week we're gonna have to have a discussion on who you think is the best, you know, team.
We can. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say like I'm done doing it forever. Like, it's still fun to look at teams and compare them, you know, guess how they'd match up. But I'm done sitting here saying best ever. I'm done sitting here saying, you know, things that are just so opinionated that, you know, anybody can have an argument with you. Like, I'm done with that crap. But, like, yeah, I mean, it would be an interesting comparison. Like, for me, it would be between these two teams. It'd be interesting to see how the ball movement matches up with the physicality on defense.
Yeah.
The physicality of defense in the 90s has not been duplicated. And, a lot of that has to do with, the league kind of shaping up on the rules a little bit, suspensions are a little more prevalent, less fines, things like that. Like back in the day, everything was fine. You weren't getting suspended. You weren't getting technicals out there for John a little bit. Now you're getting a technical for looking at somebody the wrong way. So it would be interesting really for me to see how the physicality matches up with the finesse. And I think that's kind of the story, just physicality versus finesse. And I think that would be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad by it. I mean, I guess I assume that means the 96 Bulls playing today's Warriors by today's rules. And by that, I would favor Golden State. Because you can't hand check, you can't body people up, and just the game is played differently right now. So it would be hard for those Bulls teams to keep up with the scoring power and punch that Golden State has without being able to get physical with them. So yeah, that's not like a total shock to me that they would have him favored. I mean, I guess if you put this team back in the 90s, I'm not saying that they suck, but I mean, yeah, things are going to be different because you got people hand checking and, some of those little nice moves that Steph Curry makes to the basket when he has people trying to body him, get close to him for his threes. That changes because, you go into that paint, you might get put on your behind and you do that from then on. So, there's a lot of stuff to have to look at when it comes to trying to hypothetically put two teams from two eras against each other when just basketball is so different. So, and I guess that's just how I look at it. Yeah, if they play today with the rules of today, yeah, I would favor Golden State. If they played in 1996, I'm not sure if I do that.
That's fair. All right, anything else to add to this, guys?
Could be a fun matchup, but it's not going to happen, so.
All right, just close it off, man. Just, what were your thoughts on this NBA season as a whole?
I mean, it was, I guess I gotta say, anticlimactic. We knew what the end story was gonna be pretty early. You may not have had your winner totally set in stone, but I think everybody knew we were getting Cleveland v. Golden State. And I mean, I guess we had a little bit of drama in the East because Cleveland didn't get the number 1 seed. But yeah, I guess, I mean, it's one of those movies where you have a good idea of the ending before you start watching. And I guess that's my easiest way to describe this season.
Yeah, right there with you. Everybody knew it. It's kind of like we're the author of the story. Whatever happens in the middle is up to you. You can have anybody or anything happen in the middle, but you know how you want it to end. Everybody knew this would be the finals. I think a lot of people assumed once Golden State got Kevin Durant that they would win it all. They were the favorite. And I guess another point to LeBron is how many times has he been the favorite in the NBA finals?
Yeah.
Not too many.
Yeah.
So, just, we got what we expected. In a sense, we got what we wanted. Cause I think we all would have been disappointed if either Cleveland or Golden State didn't make it. I think we all wanted that rubber match. I think the Kevin Durant, LeBron battle was fun in the end. I wish it would have been a little more competitive throughout the playoffs. But I think we all agree that, the regular season just at least this year, all set up for who was going to be teams 2 through 8 in the East and the West. I mean, even though Cleveland got the 2 seed, we all knew they were going to come out of the East. So it was just all to see, what other teams this weekend, who looks promising. I think this year really solidified for Darnell that the Bucks can be for real. And I know you kind of got a lot of excitement watching them play this year, and I think a lot of people did. A lot of young talent, very promising.
Yeah.
Granted, weaker conference, but still, I mean, they did their job. They got there. Now next year they try and win a series. But yeah, as a whole, not surprised with what we got. It's what we expected. It's what we wanted. Maybe next year the playoffs can be a little more competitive. I think that would have been really the only thing that would have made the season better. Because I think for 82 games, you can handpick the ones that you get excited about. To say, the 82 game season as a whole was bad, I think that's unfair. I mean, we had some good stuff to watch all season. Russell Westbrook put on a phenomenal show. James Harden put on a phenomenal show. Kawhi Leonard's started to turn ahead, including mine. So, I mean, there were a lot of good things that came out of this regular season. Just the idea that the playoffs kind of left a little bit of a bitter taste in our mouths.
All right, guys. Do you have anything else to add?
I just want to say shout out to Nike for having that KD commercial ready to go for Golden State winning.
Yeah, it's been in the works.
Yeah. For speaking of the one with the media doing all the bashing of him until showing him winning the title, that was like goodness. They had that in the can, just hoping for this outcome to do it, and I found that funny.
Yeah, I found that fun. Yeah, no, it was a good commercial though. I liked it. I think it's because, we remember all that so well when they all said he's too thin, he's weak.
Yeah.
It's been fun to watch him evolve as a player, win a couple scoring titles. Although I found it a little weird how much air his mom got.
Yeah.
We made it about him, but showed a lot of his mom.
She's a real MVP.
She is the real MVP.
Yeah.
Now she's the real finals MVP.
Yep.
I have to admit, I did not see that commercial yet. I heard about it, so I have to YouTube it and check it out.
Oh, dude, it was like the first one that went after the confetti dropped.
I was going to say, what'd you do? Did you even see the end?
I saw the end and I think I got up and let my dog out right.
I was gonna say you got mad that you were wrong and you just walked out when you saw it was over. Okay.
If you want to say so, man. Yeah, I have to YouTube that, man. Check it out, because I was reading about it, just never really, didn't see it yet. So, right, as always, I appreciate you guys checking us out. You can find this podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. Just hit us up in that search engine. Also, check us out on Twitter. Hit us up at BKM_cast. And as always, appreciate you guys checking us out, man. Peace. And for my man Ty, Audi 5000.